Before we begin, viewer discretion is strongly advised. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Please exercise caution while watching. Tension burned through the courtroom like wildfire. The air was so dense it felt ready to break. Reporters clutched their notepads, spectators barely breathed, and attorneys leaned forward, every eye fixed on the judge's bench, waiting for the next word to fall. The Sean Diddy Combs trial had already turned the entertainment world upside down. With charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and coercion looming over Diddy, the room was ready for another bombshell. But when the judge called for the next piece of evidence, no one was ready for the name that rang out: Michael B. Jordan. The Hollywood star, known for Creed and Black Panther, was about to be thrust into a scandal that would rattle the very walls of the courtroom. The monitors flickered, displaying a blurry video labeled Exhibit 12. Silence fell over the crowd, every breath held in anticipation. On the screen was Michael B. Jordan, caught in a moment that would ignite chaos. But it was not just the tape that set the room ablaze. It was Jordan's raw, explosive reaction, an outburst that left everyone shocked. What was on that tape? Why did it push Jordan to the brink? And what truth was he so desperate to protect? Michael B. Jordan's rise to fame is a tale of heart and hustle. Born in Santa Ana, California, and raised in Newark, New Jersey, he started as a child actor, winning hearts in The Wire and All My Children. By his 20s, he was a global icon thanks to breakout roles in Fruitvale Station, Creed, and Black Panther. His charisma, discipline, and quiet strength made him a beacon of integrity in the shadows of Hollywood. But today, in this Manhattan courtroom, that integrity was under siege. His connection to Diddy, once a minor footnote in gossip columns, was now a headline in a federal trial. The link between Jordan and Diddy began in 2014 during Jordan's brief romance with Cassie Ventura, Diddy's longtime girlfriend. According to Cassie's 2023 lawsuit against Diddy, their flirtation while filming Honey 3 Dare to Dance in South Africa sent Diddy into a rage, sparking threats and jealousy. Jordan's name surfaced in court documents during jury selection, noting his background role, but no one expected him to be dragged into the spotlight like this. A secret tape, which had been whispered about for weeks, was about to expose a side of Diddy's world that Jordan had fought to leave behind. As the judge signaled for the tape to play, the courtroom fell silent, every eye glued to the screens. This was the moment that would change everything. The video opened in a lavish penthouse suite, the kind Diddy was known for: sparkling marble floors, modern art on the walls, and an expansive view of New York's skyline. The timestamp read August 14, 2014. Michael B. Jordan, then 27, sat on a sleek leather couch, dressed in a fitted black t-shirt and jeans, his posture relaxed but cautious. Diddy stood across from him, holding a glass of champagne, his trademark swagger radiating through the room. A small group lingered nearby, men in tailored suits, women in designer dresses, and a few shadowy figures, too unclear to identify. The atmosphere seemed casual, like an exclusive after-party, but something strange and tense was quietly happening under the surface. Diddy leaned toward Jordan, his voice low but clear, captured by a hidden microphone. "You are in the big leagues now, Mike," he said, a mischievous smile spreading across his face. Jordan nodded, his smile tight, almost forced. "Just trying to keep up, man," he replied, his eyes flicking toward the exits, as if plotting a way out. Diddy then gestured to a man in a dark suit, who stepped forward with a small metal case, the kind you would see in a heist film. He placed it on the glass table in front of Jordan with a soft jingle. "Open it," Diddy said, his tone more of an order than a suggestion. Jordan's hand hovered over the case, his hesitation noticeable. The room seemed to stop for a moment, every eye on him. He flipped the latch, opened the case, and revealed a single USB drive placed in black foam. Jordan's face hardened, his jaw tightening as he looked up at Diddy. "What is this?" he asked, his voice sounding bold and stubborn. Diddy's smile widened, but his eyes were cold, calculating. "That is your insurance, Mike, a proof that you are family now." Jordan pushed the case away, shaking his head. "I don't need this," he said, rising to his feet. "I'm here for fun, not whatever this is." Diddy's smile vanished, his voice cutting like a blade. "Sit down," he snapped. "You don't get to pick and choose, Mike. You are either in or you are out." Jordan understood that it was a threat. He sat down but still protested with his voice rising. "I didn't sign up for your games, Puff. I'm not your pawn." The tape cut off abruptly, the screen went black, but the effect hit hard and fast. The courtroom erupted in cries of surprise and whispers, but the real drama was just beginning. Michael B. Jordan, seated in the gallery as a spectator, not a witness, shot to his feet, his face twisted with anger. "That is not the whole story," he shouted, his voice booming over the judge's gavel. "You're not going to paint me like I was part of this." He pointed at Diddy, who sat stone-faced at the defense table, his expression unreadable. Bailiffs moved toward Jordan, but he raised his hands, his chest heaving with emotion. "I am not that guy," he said, his voice cracking, almost pleading. "I walked away." The judge slammed the gavel, her voice sharp. "Mr. Jordan, sit down or you'll be removed." Jordan's eyes burned into Diddy's eyes for a long moment before he sank back into his seat, his hands trembling. Tension filled the room, making every small sound feel louder. Reporters wrote quickly and furiously, their pens racing to capture the moment. The question hung heavy. What was on that USB drive, and why had it pushed Jordan to the edge? The prosecution seized the moment, calling their sole witness of the day Vanessa Reed, a former Bad Boy Records event coordinator who worked for Diddy from 2012 to 2016. Reed, a composed woman in her late 30s with sharp eyes and a steady voice, took the stand, her presence commanding attention. She had been at the 2014 Penthouse event, captured on the tape, and her testimony promised to rip open the curtain on Diddy's world and Jordan's place in it. Reed began with a measured recounting of her role at Bad Boy. "I organized the private events," she said, her voice clear and deliberate. "Not the public ones with red carpets and cameras. These were off the books, invite only, with strict rules at the door." She described the penthouse that night, a luxurious apartment at the top of a New York tower reserved for Diddy's elite circle. "It was not just a party," she said, and it was a performance. Diddy controlled every detail, the guest list, the music, the lighting. He wanted everyone to feel special, chosen, but there was always a price. The prosecutor asked about Jordan's presence. "Michael was a VIP guest," Reed said. "Diddy was thrilled to have him there. He kept saying, 'Mike is the future. He's going to be family.' But Michael did not fit in. He stayed on the sidelines, sipping water, watching the room like he was studying it." Reed's words painted a bold picture of a young star out of his element, caught in a world he did not understand. "When Diddy gave him that case, I saw Michael's whole behavior shift," she continued. "He looked like he had stumbled into something he was not supposed to see." The courtroom leaned in as Reed described the moment the tape captured. "The USB drive was one of Diddy's gifts," she said. "He handed them out to certain people, usually new faces he wanted to tie to him. I never saw what was on them, but I heard rumors, videos, contracts, things that could destroy you if they leaked." The prosecutor then asked, "Did you know what was on Jordan's drive?" Reed shook her head. "No, but I saw his reaction. He was scared, angry, like he wanted to run. And when he stood up to leave, Diddy was furious. He did not like being challenged." As she talked about the aftermath, her testimony became more intense. "Michael eventually left the party, but after he left, Diddy pulled me aside," she said. "He told me to make sure no one talked about what happened. He said, 'Mike is young, he will come around.' But she could tell he was shaken." Michael leaving was not part of the plan. Reed claimed Diddy ordered her to send Jordan a follow-up message, something unclear but pointed. She told the court that she sent the text on Diddy's instructions from a burner phone. "You know what you saw. Keep it quiet." But she revealed that Jordan replied to her. He sent, "I am not in this. Leave me out." The courtroom stirred, and the prosecution argued that it was a proof of Diddy's intimidation tactics, an example of how he kept his circle in check. But Reed continued her testimony. Her voice grew softer as she shared another detail. "A few days later, I overheard Diddy on a call," she said. "He was talking about Michael, saying he needed to tighten the leash. I did not know what he meant, but it sounded threatening." The judge's gavel fell as whispers rippled through the courtroom, the weight of Reed's words settling like dust. Reed painted a creepy picture of Diddy's private events, a world built on power and fear. "These were not ordinary parties," she said. "They were tests. Diddy watched how people acted, who followed orders, who asked questions. If you passed, you got closer to him, deals, opportunities, connections. If you failed, you were out, or worse." She paused, her eyes observing the jury. Michael did not play the game, and that made him a problem. The prosecution used Reed's testimony to build their case. They argued the USB drive was part of Diddy's insurance system, a tool to bind people to him through fear. Mr. Combs used these drives to ensure loyalty, the prosecutor said, holding up a replica of the metal case from the tape. We don't know what was on Mr. Jordan's drive, but his reaction, both on the tape and in this courtroom, tells us it was something he rejected outright. The defense pushed back, insisting the tape was misleading. Mr. Jordan was at a social gathering, nothing more, Diddy's lawyer said. There is no evidence he was involved in anything illegal. This is a distraction. But Reed's testimony was not finished. She revealed a startling incident that sent the courtroom into a frenzy. After Michael left, Diddy had the room swept for bugs, she said. He was paranoid that someone was recording. Turns out, he was right. The tape, she claimed, came from a hidden camera planted by someone Diddy trusted, someone who later turned it over to federal investigators. The revelation raised a troubling question: who betrayed Diddy and why? The answer hung in the air, a curious mystery that kept the courtroom tense. However, Jordan's emotional outburst became the most unforgettable moment of the day. As Reed continued, all eyes slowly shifted to him anytime she mentioned his name. He sat in the gallery, his face a mix of anger and exhaustion, his hands clenched tightly on his lap. Sources close to Jordan had revealed earlier that he was going to attend the court session voluntarily, believing his presence would show he had nothing to hide. But the tape had caught him completely off guard, pulling him into a story he had spent years escaping. His cry of, "I'm not that guy," echoed in the minds of everyone present, a desperate attempt to defend the name he had spent years trying to protect. Reed's testimony deepened, offering a glimpse into the so-called freak-offs, the alleged drug-fueled parties at the heart of Diddy's charges. They were not like any party I had ever seen, she said. There were cameras everywhere, not for fun, but for leverage. Diddy called them vibes, but it felt like a transaction. People were performing, not for enjoyment, but because they had to. Reed described seeing young artists, models, and aspiring actors at these events, many of whom seemed uneasy, like they were there under pressure. "I did not ask questions," she admitted. "I had a job and I needed it." As Reed's testimony about the freak-offs settled over the courtroom, she paused, her eyes distant, as if reliving a moment she had buried deep. The prosecutor, sensing her hesitation, gently prompted, "Mrs. Reed, was there anything else from that night that stood out, something specific about Mr. Jordan's time at the penthouse?" The courtroom leaned forward, the silence almost suffocating. Reed nodded slowly, her voice lowering as she revealed a shocking detail that had not surfaced until now. "Before Michael got the USB drive, there was another moment," she said, her words measured but heavy. "Diddy took him to a private room off the main suite, a place he called the vault. I was nearby, coordinating staff, so I saw them go in." The courtroom stirred, whispers filling the room softly. Reed described the vault as a small, soundproofed space with dark walls and a single table, used for Diddy's most confidential meetings. "It was not a place you went for casual chats," she said. "If Diddy brought you there, it meant something serious." Reed could not hear the conversation, but she saw Jordan's body language through the half-open door. "He was tense, his arms crossed like he was bracing for something," she said. Diddy was pacing, gesturing, like he was laying out a plan. At one point, he put his hand on Michael's shoulder as if he was trying to pull him into his plan. The jury's eyes widened, picturing the moment between the young star and the mogul. Reed's voice grew quieter. When they came out, Michael looked shaken, like he'd seen something that changed him. Diddy was smiling, but it was that cold smile he used when he was in control. The prosecutor asked what happened next. Reed said Jordan returned to the main suite, but stayed even more withdrawn, his eyes scanning the room as if searching for threats. He did not touch his drink after that, she noted. He just sat there, watching everyone until Diddy brought out the case with the drive. Reed's testimony suggested the vault meeting was a prelude to the tape's pivotal moment, a private confrontation that set the stage for Jordan's resistance. Whatever Diddy said in there, she added, it made Michael realize he was in a deeper situation than he thought. The prosecutor then asked if Jordan was a regular at these events, but Reed shook her head firmly. "That was the only time I saw him," she said. "He did not blend in like the others. "I think Diddy wanted him in the circle, but Michael was not interested." Her words offered a flicker of hope for Jordan's supporters, but the tape's existence cast a long shadow. What had he seen that night, and why was Diddy so determined to pull him in? The prosecutor asked why she had stayed silent so long. Reed's answer was raw and unfiltered. "I was terrified," she said. "Diddy had eyes everywhere. If you crossed him, you did not just lose your job, you lost everything: your reputation, your safety, your peace. I saw what happened to people who spoke out." She glanced at Jordan, her eyes softening. Michael was one of the few who walked away. That took courage. The prosecutor asked why Diddy targeted Jordan. Reed chose her words carefully. "Michael was different," she said. "He was young, talented, on his way up. Diddy saw him as a prize, someone who could make his circle look untouchable. But Michael did not need Diddy's world to shine. That is why Diddy pushed so hard and why Michael pushed back." Her words humanized Jordan, casting him as a man who defied a system designed to break him. However, the defense tried one last push, questioning Reed's credibility. "You are relying on unclear conversations and assumptions," Diddy's lawyer said. "Where is the proof Mr. Combs did anything to Mr. Jordan?" Reed's response was fearless. "The proof is in that tape," she said. "The proof is in Michael's face when he saw that drive. The proof is in the text I sent and his reply. You don't walk away from Diddy without him noticing." Her words landed like a hammer, silencing the defense. The prosecutor closed with a final question, asking Reed what she hoped to achieve by testifying. "I want the truth out," she said, her voice cracking with emotion. "I want people to know what that world was like, what it did to people." Michael stood up to it, and he is still standing. "I am here to make sure that means something." As Reed stepped down from the stand, the courtroom was silent, her words echoing like a call to arms. Jordan's outburst, the tape, and Reed's testimony had turned the trial into a spectacle, with more questions than answers. What was on the USB drive? Was it evidence of Diddy's alleged crimes, a contract tying Jordan to Bad Boy, or something more personal, like a sex tape or proof of threats over Cassie? The prosecution hinted at more evidence to come, but for now, the drive remained a mystery, a locked box holding secrets yet to be revealed. Reed's testimony did not just expose Diddy, it vindicated Jordan. She portrayed him as a young star caught in a trap, a man who saw something he could not unsee and chose to walk away, no matter the risk. Jordan's connection to that tape, however brief, had cost him dearly. His outburst was not just anger, it was fear, frustration, and a desperate need to break free from a narrative he had never wanted. Jordan's role was unclear. He was not a witness, but his outburst had made him a symbol of resistance, of vulnerability, of the cost of fame. His brief romance with Cassie Ventura, confirmed in her lawsuit, clarified the reasons behind Diddy's obsession. Cassie had testified that Diddy's jealousy was intense, leading to threats against Jordan. "He did not just warn Mike," she said in earlier testimony. "He made it clear no one could challenge him." Reed's account echoed this, suggesting the USB drive was Diddy's way of asserting control over a rising star who dared to cross him. As the courtroom drama unfolded, the tape's origins remained a mystery. Reed's claim that it came from a trusted insider turned traitor was irresistible. But who was it? A frustrated associate, a whistleblower with a conscience? The prosecution promised more evidence, including possible additional footage, but for now the tape stood alone, a blurry window into a night that changed everything. Jordan's outburst was a human moment in a trial of calculated moves. He was not just defending his name, he was reclaiming his identity, refusing to let Diddy's shadow define him. Reed's testimony backed him up, portraying him as a man who saw the trap and ran, even if it meant living with the consequences. He could have stayed, she said. He could have taken the drive, played along, and been untouchable, but he didn't. That is who he is. The trial is far from over. More evidence, more witnesses, and more secrets are yet to surface. Will Jordan reveal what was in the tape, or will the truth remain locked in that USB drive forever? The courtroom is still a battlefield, and the fight for justice is just beginning. Subscribe for more updates because this story is only getting started.